And we're back. Welcome to the Constitution Line by Line. I'm Paul Fabrizio.
I'm Don Frazier.
And we're going through the Constitution. Here we are, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8. Are you ready?
So we're 188.
188. And this next one affects both of us. Okay?
Lay on.
Are you ready?
Yes.
To promote the process of science and useful arts.
Useful arts.
By securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. So in other words, what we're talking about is copyrights and patents.
That's huge.
And both of us have copyrights. Do you have a patent?
No.
I don't either.
There's something I would love to patent, though.
Yes? What?
Well, if I put it out here, then people will steal it.
Oh, okay.
It's very sophisticated. It helps me get my luggage from the back of the bed of my truck to the front of the bed of my truck.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be a useful discovery.
That would be a useful. I find it useful every time I do it, and it's very easy to manufacture.
Okay. He's got ideas here.
I've got ideas, but I do have copyrights.
Yes.
You know, any of us that have written or any sort of creative work, in fact, and so
Is this copywritten?
yeah, actually it is.
So this very thing.
This very thing is copywritten, and you'll see that as a Circle C copyright mark at the end of every episode, actually.
Okay.
If we're doing it correctly.
Okay.
So we talked about bankruptcy, freedom to fail, copyright protections, patent protections.
Flip side of it.
Is the flip side of that, the freedom to create.
Yes. And the protection. It's not just the freedom, it's the protection.
Correct. Well, I mean, who's going to take that freedom to create if people are going to rip you off?
Right.
And that's one of the major contentions we have with China currently, is because they are really good at taking intellectual property and just kind of rebranding it. And so one of the things that just drives me crazy is when I see my books downloadable.
Okay. By the way, his books are
Yeah, a bunch of them are there.
right there.
So when I find my books downloadable as a PDF for a certain number of rupees.
You're kidding.
Oh, no, that's out there all over the place. So Indian counterfeiters are essentially hacking in and taking, since we're all doing all this stuff electronically, they'll go in there and lift the PDF
Right.
and then put it on their pay site, and you can download my book and pay for it in whatever, 14 million rupees or whatever it is.
And you don't get a cent.
And I don't get a cent. And one time there was a guy that had a very large RAID array computer, and he had gone to a British publisher and downloaded their entire catalog onto this hard drive, and was busy bragging about what he had done, and said, if you ever want any of these books, let me know. And so that's cutting all those authors, that publisher, that entire enterprise, just cutting it off at the knees. One time I saw I was on eBay, and I saw a watch for sale. And the watch face was actually a piece of art that we'd commissioned for one of our books at State House Press.
Oh, my.
And it was a Dr. Pepper book about Dublin Dr. Pepper, and they'd taken our book cover, put it on a watch, and were selling it from China. So that's the kind of stuff that is going to drive you crazy, because we're used to having the protections of the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
As we create these products. The more we globalize, the more we interact with the rest of the planet, not everybody believes in the U.S. Constitution like we do.
Right.
And we find that to be very disconcerting.
Right. So one of the things that's going on right now as we're doing this is that the United States and China are engaged in trade negotiations.
That involves these issues.
And that's exactly one of the holdups, is there's disagreements over this very subject. It's called, in the larger sense, called intellectual property.
Correct.
But that's what we're talking about.
Well, and that has become part and parcel of all trade agreements between all countries.
Yeah.
Is, can we be secure in our created products here when we're trading into your country, or are you just going to rip us off?
Right.
Now then.
I mean, by the way, just as an example, I'm sure you've heard or seen stories of people going to the movie theater just holding up a cell phone and taping it off.
Kramer did that on Seinfeld all the time.
So there you go. I mean, that's one of the things that we're talking about. So it's not just taking place in other countries; it's also a local issue, not an American issue too, among Americans.
Well, guess who one of the biggest violators of this concept was back in the day?
I'm afraid to find out. One of my heroes.
Well, it's the United States,
Okay.
because the way that steam engine technology was transmitted to the United States,
Mr. Fulton.
well, he was one of the guys that took it and started building upon other deliveries. The British restricted any export of their steam engine technology.
Okay.
But what ended up happening is guys were making schematics, then immigrating to the United States, then rebuilding something that they'd seen in Leeds or Nottingham, and creating steam-powered mills on the Connecticut River where there never had been before.
So we stole the idea.
We stole technology.
Just like we're now saying the Chinese are
Correct.
doing to us.
So essentially, emerging economies and booming economies tend to steal technology
Until they get on their own feet.
Until
then
they-
they want to protect
and then they want to protect what they're producing.
and all of a sudden they're big
domestically.
believers in copyright.
Absolutely. They like copyright a lot all
Yeah.
of a sudden. And so this is a process that's kind of been a human economic process since there were humans in economics. And it's such a big deal that we codify it in the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah. To the framers, it was an important step that they wanted to
Correct.
take. And, of course, even ignoring all the stealing of copyrights and patents and all that stuff, there's the other thing, and that's what do you copyright?
Yeah. What's copyrightable?
What is patentable?
Correct.
And so there's issues about that going on all the time. For example, a recent controversy in court was a dance move. Is a dance move something that you own? So there was a dance move from a TV show in the 1980s that is being copied today. So do you actually own that original move or not? And that was something that's played out in court. And turned out the latest answer I saw is he didn't own it. You can't own a dance move.
But
But
in the great state of Texas, there was an attempt by the Texas General Land Office at one time to trademark, which is an extension of copyright and all the stuff we're talking about.
the Texas two-step?
No, the hump of the Alamo.
Are you serious?
I kid you not. I had something. So we published a
So
book.
you think about the Alamo,
Yeah. So that distinctive outline.
yeah,
They said you
the
can't.
bell
You,
tower on it.
well,
Or
there's
the
no.
bell.
Well, it's the Taco Bell hump.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so we had a book that singer songwriter rock god Phil Collins did with State House Press. So on the slipcase edition, we had the Alamo hump and the words the Alamo. And people came at us from the General Land Office saying, we own that. You'll be paying us royalties on that.
Really?
Yeah. We've also had the same sort of issue with the logo for Texas A&M University, the TAM, block T,
Yeah.
AM. And where I take exception with both these cases is both of these are held by the public. So why am I competing against my own government for these logos and the outline of the Alamo? That's just nuts. So the question I have about, copyright, trademark, and patents and stuff like that is this something the government can do too?
Interesting.
Yeah, it raises some very interesting legal issues. Well, the people that finally shut the Alamo issue down was the Alamo Brewing Company. They said, no, we're going to use that outline and y'all can suck eggs. And if you want to go to court, we'll go to court.
Okay. So private enterprise won.
Yes, private enterprise
and the land
won.
office backed off.
Yeah, and it was, but just the arrogance of these employees of the GLO. Now, this is several years ago.
Right.
So
Don't want to impugn.
that's right.
anybody.
These are not people that are there now. But just the arrogance of them saying, you're going to owe us money for that as soon as they saw it. It's like, says you.
So, do you own your body?
Yeah, because all the home genetics testing
Yeah.
issue is going to be a big
Yeah. Can
test
you?
for this.
Can you? I mean, is that a patent? I don't know. I mean, these are things.
Is a creative product.
Yeah. Well,
An act of creation?
it certainly was an act of creation.
Yeah, I
but-
guess it was.
Yeah, so how creative is another story.
So, yeah, I mean, what
Okay.
happens when people take your genetic code?
Right.
Is that a violation of some sort of right to your own product?
Yeah. Good questions. And don't have answers.
Yeah, that's,
And the framers obviously weren't thinking of all of these things.
oh, heavens no.
So they just wanted to protect commerce as it was.
Yeah, so if I wrote a book, somebody in France wasn't going to pick it up and
Right.
make money off of my work.
Yeah, I often wonder if Ben Franklin was a big believer in copyright,
No, I'm sure he was.
as one of the big writers.
Yeah. Well, and he had a lot of intellectual property to
Yeah,
protect.
he did. So anyway, we go from that to now, what is a creative art? Well, more correctly, what's the words they used? The process of science and useful arts.
Yeah, useful art.
Useful arts.
That's why that dance move was not protected.
Yeah,
it
it's
was not a useful
useful.
art.
All right, there we go. So that's the Constitution line by line. That's that line. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8.
That's our line.
That's our line.
All right, we'll pick up another line next time.